All right, hello everybody. It's your boy Sando here back again with the build video for season 3 for, well, I would have to say shield and flail and greatsword. I tried to make sword and shield greatsword work. It does work, but the amount of utility and mobility in this meta that flail brings, it heavily outweighs it, and it helps support Serenity the most, way better than Sword and Shield for the amount of points that we have to allocate into Sword and Shield. For how I like to run Sword and Shield is I like to run a more DPS focused tree, not just a utility, because with Sword and Shield, with anything without a tower shield, the utility is either it's mainly damage or setting up a stun. If it's not setting up that stun, or if it's doing more damage, then it's kind of in a weird spot right now. Mainly because the animations changed to shield rush feel really awkward from how they felt before. Not the animation recovery, but the actual animation of the attack. And it became very inconsistent. So I then decided to try out Flail. And if you would have told me on PTR I would be running Flail, I would think you were lying. But let's go ahead and go through everything. So we are running the divine combo of Michael and Serenity, and they look amazing together. This did interest me a little bit, and I tried to running kite shield, sword and shield. It just doesn't make any sense. Running kite shield with flail makes the most sense. You get the more utility out of it for the amount of armor that you're losing. You get everything. It just does a kite shield better. Sword and shield for damage spec should be running a round shield setup. Although we do lose a lot of damage with having a quicker offhand for the great sword, we gain that back in a lot of utility. So we're going to start going over some of the interactions we found here. The main interaction we found is that the Michael shield, or any kite shield, the counterattack and healing defense on block works as long as this weapon is equipped with a weapon that can use the shield, aka a sword or flail. It works on your offhand weapon. Now, this counterattack is the more important one that we're looking for. The heal is not so much. But when you pair this with a secondary weapon that does a lot of block synergy, that's when things start to get interesting. So basically, we'll go down here for some mobs and just get it checked out. Now, the only thing that doesn't work is the cleanse. The cleanse on block. See, I'm going to block, I'm going to get the empower, and I get the little heal. Fill out the shield, block, I get the little heal, I get the empower. Okay? So it works there. Fun part is when you use your blue shield for guard point. Guard point works with it as well. This amplifies the power in Defiant Stance a lot. It makes it so Defiant Stance almost hits as hard as Onslaught Stance. And you start building up your defensive stacks for Serenity's perk Balanced Blade. Now, where the flail comes in is the flail. We're not using Mending Vortex. I know it's a really popular skill. It actually recently got a nerf to not really work with the flailing stability with Ice Wall, so that lost a little bit of value. The main thing we're using it for is the trip combo setup and the barrage. This pairs very well with mitigated protection. Mitigated protection, if you block a hit, you gain a damage absorption buff. When you use when you use barrage, you actually block during that. A key perk for this is Flail Mary. You can be block broken out of this the same way you can be block broken out of the Great Sword guard point. So if you're low on actual stamina and you try to go into a barrage, if you take a hit, it can knock you out of it. Now, the main thing with this is that if you do, as soon as you activate barrage like there, it blocks instantly. So it's an instant block. And then you can basically get your power up while cleansing. It cleanses. So if you see like a blunderbuss person or something like that, you don't want to run away. It's not a very good gap closer. I mean, it's not a very good runaway tool. What it is it's a tool that can be used to navigate terrain. So if you're near a corner or something like that, you can get around a corner. Or if I like to use, I like to pull people around, turn around, and instantly barrage back into them. The main reason for that is because if you see here, barrage hits inflict a slow, and you can actually get a fortify from barrage as well for each target you hit. So that actually works out really well. With all that being said, you'll notice from the clips of the build in action, there are a lot of dots in the game right now, and the dots are pretty oppressive. Michael is how you can deal with those dots without any CD. You can get hit with 1,000,000 dots and just basically purge them all off you. Especially with a blunderbuss. This build is mainly set up to counteract blunderbuss in its setup. If you get hit with a 1 blunderbuss auto attack, it has enough pellets to clear off at least, I think, like 4 to 5 debuffs at one time. So you can basically get that and then just be set. So that's personally what I like about it. Now, the other part of the utility that comes in is that combo you just saw me do, the smite into trip. And this is where I was kind of trying to get this set up before I did the build video, as far as the best in slot flail. There's one from Empyrean Forge called the Rending Flail. It's not full best in slot, but it's cheaper than doing a full 3-perk craft. On mine here, I was actually trying out Trinket Crits, but where's my other one here? I actually like the main 3 perks I want to go on it is either Penetrating Backstab or Shirking Element. The Shirking Element hits really hard, and basically, since we are running a little bit of leeching on the build, we want to do as much damage as we can to make that Shirking proc as much as possible. Trinket Rend, because Trip, the final attack, is a heavy attack, so it will apply Trinket Rend. What you can also get on there is Plague Strikes. Plague Strikes and Trinket Rend can roll on the same weapon. I had that on my greatsword for last season, for season 2. Now, along with this, if you do, the reason why we do smite first is because it will apply the debuff. The debuff can then be used here, hitting a weakened target, because the status effect is a weaken when you cause the impairment. It applies a 15% rend for 5 seconds and granting you a 15% fortify. The main thing with this setup is, I'll show you here. We hit the smite, we hit the trip, we get the fortify. And basically it's a full combo setup where you can basically full debuff the person and then have everything set up and ready to go for Serenity. And which that's been working out very well, especially with people having healing and shirking heals and all that good stuff. We are taking all of the perks here for smite, this one especially, and why it makes the most sense with the kite shield is because it does a stagger, but the damage is reduced, which is fine. So we definitely want that stagger because it's like a greater stagger and it allows you to hit the full combo. The last one here is more so a buff to allies and yourself a little bit. You can get a little bit of life steal. I have felt a difference not running it, so I do run that as well. Vital Embrace is a big one here. I tried all these other ones here. Spiky Impairment is very conditional, above 90%. And also, too, you can't block a range attack. You have to be hit by a range attack. You have to block a melee attack. Oppressive Advantage, I tried this right here. This does cause the flail speed bug, but it's only for 3 seconds. I didn't find that much use out of it because most of the time I'm swapping off of the flail bar and not really staying on it. Happy Flails, causing exhaust. It is good, very situational, conditional. Most of the time, if you are running in a group or team, someone else usually has the Happy Flails perk. So, and also too, there's other perks that give us more of an advantage that we're gonna take. Let me back out from all these mobs here. The last one here is Leader of the Pack. because we are running leeching on here, the more damage we do, the more that we actually get in return for health. Also too, if this is in a group here or you're surrounded by anybody else, that empower is really good for your other teammate. We take all the points in barrage. This right here gives a big fortify when you actually hit a target near somebody, which is really good. The vital suppressant here, this one is really good for being able to block when you're below 50% health for less stamina damage, and while you're above 50% health, you're a little bit tankier. This one here with the kite shield reduces damage over time and debilitating effects. So this is vigor and invigorated together for a kite shield, which is amazing. And it combines with some of the other perks too we're going to run as well. Flail Mary. This is the one where basically you need for barrage, because if you're low and you cast barrage without any SAM, you can get broken out of it and it will just leave you sitting there looking stupid. So this is very important. And then the mitigated protection as well, because this can proc off of barrage. The reinforced vitality is a little bit of extra health at all times, which is pretty good, but I didn't really find that. I found the other perks here. We're just kind of starved for perk points here, so that's why we went with the setup we did here. The cured flowment is pretty good. It is a cleanse off of the heavy attack for trip, but we have Michael, so we don't really need an extra cleanse here. We have one that we can activate at all times, so we went ahead and took the other points here instead of that. We're not running into the capstones here because this one will get you killed, and the better together here if scales off focus, and we don't really have any focus, so it's not going to heal for anything. Going over to the great sword here, this is a little bit weird. This is a very weird great sword tree, but trust me, it works. We're going to start off with perfect vigilance. We're going to get blade honing, we're going to get weary posture, flinching blade, arrow deflection for the block as well. Faultless defender. We get all the perks here for the roaring rupture as usual. The main things we're trying to get down to this, the undying defiance. Since we are using guard point and we are tap blocking with our great sword in order to proc our extra damage, might as well get some extra healing because this stacks along with the other lifesteal we have on the build. This one here, we're not taking this side mainly because Serenity has a refreshing move on it, and we're kind of crutching on that a lot. More so than just having the capstone here for the refreshing move. Our cooldowns do feel a little bit longer, but what we do is we actually try to space them out. And our main thing is that we're not running crosscut anymore because our heavy attacks hit harder than crosscut. And so we're going to focus on trying to slip those heavy attacks in. Think of the heavy attack as being like your cannon. And basically you're just going to try to hit them with the big hit when you can after you build up enough stacks. This one here, heavy blade, of course, we're using heavy attacks, so we want 50% armor penetration. Critical combat, very, very good. We have increased healing on here. This is going to help us out a lot. And we're taking Skyward Slash because of the disease and rend. We have a lot of rend on this build. With our plague strikes flail, once we get it, we'll have a lot of plague. We'll be able to debuff people. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about shirking heals and the amount of healing in this patch. When people are not running any kind of plague or any kind of rend or any kind of setup, they're literally just throwing naked combos at it. You'll see in most of the clips when people just get on you and they're in a group or whatever, they'll just swing wildly at you, making it easy for you to dodge, proc shirking heals, get away, and live clean. And of course, we're taking Relentless Rush. We don't have another point here for Adaptive Rush, which would be good. It is a decent heal, but we don't have enough points to take that. We instead spinning on Step and Strike. The Empower from this is okay. The main thing is the stamina we get back here, which leads into the other side of the build. Let's go ahead and get into the attributes here, which are all messed up. Why are they all messed up? Well, we can go ahead and go into consumables. We use banana bread, desert sunrise, of course, and then you always have your honing stone. I don't know. Oh, I changed the flail, that's why. I had another one here I was trying out. This is how I run it here for my gear score. I would, since we'll go over it later, but we don't have any health perk on the armor on this build. I don't really see, there's too many other things that can take that slot. As far as that, we're using greatsword as well, so the effective health calculator, anything like that, greatsword really screws around with that. You literally just would be Giving yourself false information, trying to just pump up the health. 17k is fine. Anything more above that is just a plus or bonus. You can dump these extra health points once you hit 200 into dexterity. This looks a little strange from how we used to run everything, because you used to do a big stat split setup. Yes, you can get more weapon damage with the greatsword with a better stat split setup, going either 200. You can even dump some into intelligence, but out of all the setups I tried, strength got a big buff from the PTR. Main buff, this one here. 10% base damage increase to abilities and final attack of a melee light attack chain. This one was huge. This one used to be for just intelligence only at 15%. They nerfed a little bit of intelligence and they put this one here. This one was only for light attacks. Getting that base damage increase to your abilities with the amount of leeching that we have really makes a big difference. Also, too, the last hit of your light attack chain makes that so you can do some switch up combos and be able to get that last light attack in. The 7% base damage increase while under 90% health. This was huge as well. You're usually always under 90% health, so you get that 7% base damage increase. As you can see here, the last couple of perks are the ones you really want. A lot of base damage increase and 33% stamina generation rate while performing basic attacks. This one's huge as well. We're using Serenity, mostly using heavy and light attacks. 10% more base damage. This is base damage. Increase to stunned, slowed, and rooted opponents. As you can see, it's a trend. We have a lot of base damage coming from this tree now. Then the 15% stand rate while exhausted. That's fine. That does combine a little bit here with the if you are exhausted and just do light attacks, you will see your stamina start to come back a little bit faster. And then 10% base damage increase to physical attacks. This 50 may be bugged still. I haven't tested it since the last update that happened last night. This one as well, because it goes with Serenity. And a 5% light attack damage goes with Serenity as well. The reason why we take 50 dex is because this is a dual stat weapon with strength and dexterity. So that does help us out a little bit here. The critical hit is nice for trinket crits. And the 5% damage while at full health is a little bit okay because we do have a lot of leeching on here. The constitution perks are the normal ones here. You just want to make sure you get the 200. You can, if you want to drop it down to the 150 passive here, that would be the minimum just to make sure that you have the extra reduction on critical damage taken. The main thing here is that we are using shirking fortification. So the multiplier of 10% increased physical elemental damage does really help boost up the shirking fortification when you do have this perk as well. Going on to the gear. I've crafted some rolls myself here using some of my inductors. Sometimes I use this to chromatic seal. I got a little bit unlucky on this piece here. I don't need directional evade. Although if I did use rapier, this would be one of the best in slot pieces. But this one I crafted with a Azoth inductor here for the control of 3 perks because we really needed to make sure we had relentless freedom. But we are doing a shirking heals, shirking forward stack. Like I said, a lot of people have been meant. This one too I also crafted with an inductor because empowering breaker is very, very big. There's a lot of people blocking. There's a lot of people blocking with IGs, with ice gauntlets, not just shields. There's a lot of flails out there. There are people blocking a lot, and this stacks up way faster than you think. This one is a roll with a 2 perker. We got ice harnessing here. Ideally on this one we would want to have a we'll go over there in a second. This one has slash conditioning as well. So I have 2 pieces that are best in slot, and we have 3 pieces that are not. As of now, looking over everything, I would change 2 of these pieces to one of these pieces to the Skyward Nullification perk. I would probably put that on my pants for Skyward Nullification. That is a great perk to use. We are using Skyward slash here, and to get those debuffs off, people have a lot of fortify stacks, so it is going to make a big difference. For these last 2 perks on the gear, I would actually go with either Freedom, mainly just for the slows and stacking with the 10% that you get built into the armor piece here, or I would do Invigorated. Invigorated to get off those debuffs as well, even faster. Also, another notable perk choice here for the chest piece is Sturdy Energy. Sturdy Energy, people don't like it a lot, but it stacks with the strength perks as far as the stamina regeneration. So you can't go above 50% stamina regeneration, but with the amount that you actually block by accident using barrage and guard point, you can actually proc that more than you think, just simply by fighting in combat. It is very, very, very good. So I personally would go sturdy energy here. I would do skyward nullification here on the pants, and just for the slows, if you're having trouble with that, I would do 2 freedom on a medium set is fine, because that will help reduce it. Or you can go whatever you like on the last perk for the other piece. But the main thing is just to get all 5 shirking forward, shirking freedom, close to 700 as you can, and then go ahead and make sure you have relentless freedom, and you can go ahead and go from there. Just relentless freedom, skyward nullification. On the Michael shield, I actually went with accelerating barrage. I know a lot of people really like burdening smite, but I would just put that on the weapon, to be perfectly honest with you. As far as, or you can put it on the shield. If you put it on the shield of the weapon, I like the extra speed for being able to get away. Slows this patch feel really, really oppressive, mainly because they're so high value. The Great Axe has Crippling Reap that is a 50% slow on weapon for 4 seconds just for hitting it. It is very oppressive. So being able to have the extra speed or haste to be able to get away is very nice. Another contender for a weapon slot perk is also thwarting trip, which increases the base damage of trip. We have a lot of leeching, so the more damage we do with it, the more that we actually heal from it. So that would be another contender as well. And you can also go with burdening smite on the weapon. The flail here, I would say that the main 2 that you want to get, the other one is up to your choice, is Tringic Ren, Plague Strikes for the trip combo and maximum debuff. And on Serenity, we end up just doing a gem slot here, nothing special. The gem slot just outweighs everything, and we're going with a gambit on here. I do like the opportunist or the emerald on the flail, mainly for its low damage, but we have a opportunity to, if we do trip somebody, we can get a big smack on them at the end. You also can go gambit gem if you would like. We are running Ankh as well. We did put shirking and power on it. The main reason why I put shirking and power on it is because we have a lot of ways to regenerate our stamina, mainly because we're running I would run at least 4 energizing rune glass on the armor. This does help a tremendous amount, especially stacking with the strength perks here for generating stamina. And then also to the shirking and power, mainly so we have another source of empower. And sources of empower stack very weirdly. Some of them, like empowering breaker and shirking power, not like in the same perk bucket. So you can basically use these and make sure that you're always at maximum power. Another thing that I know a lot of people have been talking about is the empower cap, and if we're going over it, if we're doing too much empower, take the idea of the empower cap and throw it out of the window this patch. Just from Flail alone, there's 30% weaken just being thrown out. Spear has 47% weaken. Sword and shield, shield rush is 20% weaken. There are so much weaken being thrown out. If you're fighting at least 2 people, you will be at least guaranteed at least 30% weakened. So you need to be able to overcome that weakening and be able to do damage in order to have your leeching be viable and to be able to take out those opponents. So anything about the power cap in PvP, throw it out of the window. It no longer exists. There's so much weakening in the game now that you have to be able to overcome that. And if you don't, you'll see that you're doing negative damage. For the ring here, this is from the Barnacles and Black Powder Privateer's Heirloom. I actually changed the last perk on it for hardy, slash damage, and leeching. Leeching is very important here. We have it on the Michael shield. We have the capstone for the greatsword. They all stack for it. Greatsword does have weird interactions with rolling rupture and that leeching, but everything else does count. So we are doing that in order to have some good self heals on here. Leeching is buffed by Ankh here as far as the 25% stronger, and also we have divine, so we have more multipliers on that as well. For the amulet here, I don't have a really good one at this time, but the main perks you want to go for are healthy toast, refreshing toast, and regenerating or nimble. Nimble, I found, is another way we can regain stam. It's another multiplier here. The only thing is that Regenerating does have some clutch moments here where it will be able to save you a little bit. But if you find that you are having trouble with stand management, Nimble can help you out here as far as using that perk. And is that everything? I think that is everything. One more combo that does work out is that these mobs actually die too slow for it. You can actually arcane smite into a quick swap to a skyward, which is a lot of opening damage, and you do still have your escape saved. The main thing is to be able to do your opening damage and have your escape saved. Roaring Rupture, it's just the cleanse from it is so good. The fortify from it is so good. The uninterruptible or the unstoppable, once you hit somebody with it, is just very good. Any other defiance skill skill that I tried to use and tried to stack up the fortify stacks for Serenity was not really doing too well for me. Steadfast Strike was a strong contender, mainly before its perk for purification, but the Roaring Rupture just wins out. Also, too, the skill hits really hard for some reason when used like around people. You'll see it get a lot of finisher hits in some of the clips here, but it does work out very well. I know I kind of ran through everything. I will have a link with the actual entire build setup here as far as a base. Like I said, there are a couple free spots you can kind of throw in whatever skills you want, and we can just go from there. But definitely have fun with it. Remember the main thing about Barrage, I'll say it again, it's very bad at running away unless you can go through and go around an object. Just running in an open field is very bad. You basically go nowhere. Somebody running next to you, because the animation stops, can basically just keep right up with you and then just hit you as soon as it's done, because you do a standstill at the end of the animation. The main thing about Barrage is that you can use it to go around things and get to cover once you're close enough. So yeah, that is the build, and I hope you all enjoy and have a great day.